How you guys doing? It's been a while. It's been a minute. But I'm back. And I'm back just in time for the holidays, right? Hold on a second. Hang on a second, guys. There we go. Okay. So how's everyone doing? Is everyone doing good? You know what? I'm going to... Let me minimize this so I can see the chat. There we go. Yeah, I'm sorry. I promised I'd be back though. At least I came back, right? So anyways, how's everyone doing tonight? Everyone's good? Yeah? Why not? Oh, that stinks. I'm just kidding.
Hear you.
I can't hear you guys. I just wanted to see who actually thought I could hear them talking. So, anyways, you guys. Belinda's on. Karen.
Belinda's a student in my class.
Belinda, how are you? Mrs. Hernandez is a student.
Abby is
Christian,
a student.
Abby. Yeah. So I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
More.
Are we expecting more? You want me to wait a minute? In fact, how about this? I was having some issues getting loaded up on my YouTube channel. I haven't been on in quite a while, as some of you know. But, yeah, so I'll wait another minute. But in the meantime, I have an 11 by 14 canvas. You guys can paint on something that is square. It doesn't have to be 11 by 14. You could do an 8 by 10. You could paint anything you want, actually. So I'm just painting on this because it's less paint. You guys could still see it. And we were painting on smaller canvases before. Do you guys remember that terrible time a while back when everything was closed and you couldn't get like toilet paper? You know, I mean, you still can't get toilet paper, but you know, when you couldn't order art supplies even, like all the arts and crafts stuff was out of stock. So now everything's open. You can buy things again. I'm buying things online. I got some more art supplies. So you guys can use anything that you'd like, any size that you want. You could paint on small little canvases, you know, small like this size.
You could paint on cardboard.
You could paint on cardboard. You can paint on, you know what I'm going to paint next? I'm going to paint some shoes. I'm going to buy some Vans that are blank, and I'm going to paint some cool stuff on them. So that'll be fun. But anyways, I don't know if you guys saw the flyer, but we're going to be using these colors. So I'm going to get you guys all ready. I'm not going to paint just yet, but I'm going to tell you what colors I'm going to use. I'm going to be using black. I'm going to be using white. Orange for his nose. A little bit of yellow. We're going to be using blue. Now, there's so many different types of blue. I use phthalo blue because I love it. It's like my favorite blue. You can use cobalt blue. You can use ultramarine. You can use what's called true blue. Whatever you like. Okay, so whatever works. Now, with that, let me introduce the last color, red. We're going to use a little bit of red. So with whatever works. So what I mean by that, my painting that I'm going to create for you guys tonight, I'm just a reference. You guys create whatever you like. Okay, if you want to, we're going to paint some trees on there. You guys probably saw the flyer. If you want to paint 2 trees, if you want to paint 10 trees, go for it. You can do whatever you like. Remember, this is just a reference. I'm going to teach you guys how to paint in layers and in steps. So you guys can paint whatever you'd like by the end of this painting. Again, this is not a paint class. People say, hey, I'm going to be at your paint class tonight. I'm like, what paint class? I'm not doing a paint class. I'm doing a paint therapy session because we're all on lockdown, right? Well, not really. But everyone's trying to stay home and stay safe, and I get it. And I want to give you guys some really cool things to do. Painting is just another tool that I want you to have in your toolbox. Does that make sense? I have many things that I could do. I'm teaching my kids that. I took Jack fishing the other day. There was nobody around. It was nice. We go shopping sometimes late at night. We stay safe, but there's other things that we do. We just don't stay at home. Staying at home is great, but get out and go do something. Go out in the backyard and go do some exercise. Go play with your old school Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joes in the backyard. Do fun stuff like that. This is just another tool for you guys to have under your belt. And if you like it, I will give you some tips. These canvases, if you want to buy the 8x10s, you can either go to Michael's or Blick's. I'm not promoting them, or Hobby Lobby. I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just saying that's where you go get them. Or you could go to the dollar store. They have canvases there for 99 cents. You could buy paints there as well. Okay. Do I sound like a salesman? I was a salesman for 9 years. I worked at Best Buy for 9 years. So if I sound a little cheesy with the sales pitches, too bad. It's because I was the best, right? So anyways, are you guys ready? While we are painting, I'm going to be asking you guys, because there's a little bit of delay with me, I'm going to ask you guys if you're ready to move forward. If you're ready to move forward, if you can give me like a thumbs up or say yes, I will move forward. Okay, so as you saw on the flyer, we're going to be painting a snowman. We're going to be using the colors that I just mentioned. We're also going to be using two brushes. We're going to be using a flat brush, and it's called a flat brush because it is flat. And we're going to be using a round brush. It's called a round brush because it's square. Just kidding, it's round. Okay, so these are the only two brushes that you'll need for this entire piece and for many other pieces. Okay, so I want everyone to have fun. I don't want anybody to stress. I don't want you guys to say, mine didn't come out like Mr. Hernandez's or Mr. Chris or Chris Hernandez, whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for dinner. Stupid jokes. I won't do that again. I'm sorry.
He gets them from me.
Okay. This is not an art class. It's not an art critique. This is just for fun, you guys. Thursday night. Okay, Thursday night. What are you guys doing right now? You're eating leftovers, or you're eating a pizza or something. You're sitting at home. Gumbo. Gumbo. Your favorite show, The Mandalorian, isn't coming on till tomorrow night. So what are you doing on Thursday night? You're painting with me. And guess what? If you like this, you can always reach out to me. I'll always help you out. So my email, I'm going to put all that stuff up. Instagram, ZP Publishing. You guys can always reach out to me and I will totally help you out. I have so many people that have just reached out to me in the last week and a half to 2 weeks and asking me for advice. And I just said, yeah, I give advice all day. No problem. Like, if you guys need help, if you're local in the high desert and you need something, I'll totally help you out. Whatever you guys need. All right. Okay, are we ready? You guys ready to get started? We're going to start this painting with white and my favorite blue, phthalo blue. If you have true blue, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, whatever, use it. Just use it. Okay. Are you ready? I have my canvas right here too, or my palette. So I'm going to be mixing my colors right here so you guys can see. So here's what I'm going to do.
There you are.
I'm going to start with probably about a teaspoon's worth of white. Okay. And then here comes the phthalo blue right now. Now, be careful. Put them separate from each other. And you're not going to use a lot of blue for this. Now, if you put too much blue and say, well, I'll just use it later, try not to do that because acrylic paint dries pretty quick. So you don't want a bunch of acrylic paint sitting over here hanging out for about 45 minutes. Then you go to use it and it's hardened. Okay, acrylic paint dries pretty quick. Also, what I'm using is I'm just using a little red cup here. And I throw some water in it. And I could throw these away afterwards. I haven't thrown this. Can you tell I haven't thrown this away in a while? I like to keep my stuff for some reason. I don't know what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and dip a little bit of water on this brush. And then I'm going to ream it just like this right on the edge. Now, the acrylic paints that I'm using are called soft body acrylics. Now, with that, you don't need to add a lot of water to them. Okay, so also what I have here, I have a paper towel. When I take a lot of the water off, I'm just going to push it right on the paper towel, just like that, back and forth. Okay. Now we're going to start with our flat brush. We're going to do layers. We're going to do layers, and we're going to create what's called perspective. That is an art design element. It's called perspective. In other words, we're going to have things that are way in the back that are smaller, and things that are in the front that look bigger to create the illusion that there's depth in our piece. Depth means it's basically an element that you see things further away. So your depth perception is going to be, I'm looking in the back and I see mountains way in the back, and then I see this really cool snowman I'm about to paint right in the front. So I'm going to give my piece a lot of depth. Does that make sense? You guys know you're getting an art lesson too, right? Like art history, art design. Anyways, let's get started. Here is your canvas. So wherever your canvas is at, find the halfway mark and go a little bit below that. And that's where we're going to paint our land. So here's our sky. Here's going to be our land. We're going to go down about halfway and go a little bit below that. And we're going to create the land. Here's how we're going to do this. Don't just mix these two together right away. You don't want to do that. You want to pull a little bit out carefully, just like this right here. You're going to want to grab the tip of this brush and just dab a little bit of that into the white. That's perfect. Can everybody see that? Okay. Now, don't overblend these colors right there. I like all these color variations. Okay, so here we go. Here's about how much paint I have on here right now. And I'm going to go right down to the halfway mark, which is about right here. And I'm going to go a little bit below, about right here. I'm going to put a little mark right there. And then I'm going to grab my brush and go straight across and put another mark with the tip right there. Okay? So, in other words, you have more sky than land, but just a little bit. Now, I'm left-handed, so instead of going left to right, I like to go right to left. You could do vice versa if you're right-handed. But I'm going to go ahead and start painting. Now, don't overbrush things. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start painting. And you see how I'm doing these arches right here? I don't want to create something flat. That's boring. Okay, I'm going to create some little hills, some little rolling hills. And I can already see right there, I think I got too much blue in there, but I'm okay with that. So what I do is I go back to my white, and I'm going to grab some more white, and I'm going to go here. Now, did you notice that I didn't brush over this? I left it there. Now, I don't want to do this completely, and the other thing I don't want to do is I don't want to make a pattern. Okay, I want everything to be natural and organic. If you ever go outside and you look at trees, you don't see trees lined up like this. Perfect. Okay. You go out, you see a tree here, a tree out there, a tree closer. So, and when you're creating scenes of nature, you don't want to paint things that are a pattern. Okay, and here we go. I'm going to keep doing this. Now, this is the fun part, because if you've never painted before, this is where you find out what your paints can and can't do for you. It's like test driving a bike or a car. Well, most of you haven't test driven a car yet. A bicycle.
Well, who goes to the store and test rides a bicycle?
You can. Well, when I was a kid, you'd have your friends say, "Hey, you want to go hang out?" And I'd say, "I can't. I got a flat tire. Here, take my bike." And I got my brother's bike. So I would jump on his brother's bike or his bike. And I kind of knew how to do it, but I still needed a few minutes to get used to it. It's the same thing with this, okay? Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay, and I'm going to keep painting. You see how I'm painting? And you could use the back of the brush in the front. Now, if you notice, you see these little streaks right here? I like those. I'm going to zoom in on this. I'm going to do a cheap zoom in right here. Do you see that? I'm going to leave those. I don't want everything perfectly flat. I don't want everything to look like it's been brushed out perfect. I want all those streaks in there. It's very painterly. And also paint the sides. Paint the sides of your canvas. Now, some of you have got to this tone, you're like, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Chris, it's way too dark. Okay, grab your palette here, get away from this then, and grab some new white paint. And start doing the same brush strokes that you're doing. Okay, break up the pattern. Now, another thing I'm going to tell you, don't change your style halfway through the piece. Okay? Once you start doing a certain style, stick with that. I promise you it'll look really good. Even if you're unhappy with it, you're like, I didn't like the way I started painting for the first half an hour. Well, I promise if you just keep sticking with it, it'll look really nice. You want consistency while you're painting. Okay, I'm almost there. Now, another thing that I want to tell you about with acrylic painting, you have to layer your painting. Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but there's like a bunch of little blotches from my brush marks. That will go away after I put on a second layer of paint. Well, how do you put on a second layer of paint? You gotta let the canvas dry. And once the canvas dries, then you're able to put another layer of paint. This painting that we're doing here is probably gonna have about, 2 layers of paint at the most, maybe 3. Okay, I've done paintings before where there was like 15 layers of acrylic paint. The more layers, the better it's going to look. Okay, one more thing too. I'm going to demonstrate right up here with some darker paint. Do you see this? How it starts out dark and it gets a little bit like thinned out? That is a dry brush. Don't do this. This is just me like trying to give you an example. That is a dry brush. If you're doing that, you're not putting a lot of paint on. It's going to take forever to layer it. So be generous with your paints. Okay, now I'm going to move to the bottom. Now watch this. If you have one of these easels, pick it up very gently and just move it down right here just like this. I got paint on my finger. That's okay. This is acrylic paint. It comes off. Do not get it in your clothes. If it gets in your hair, no big deal. You can get that out. Or you can just get some scissors and cut your hair out.
No.
Just kidding. Don't do that. But do not get this on your clothes. If you have to wear an apron, wear an apron. Okay. Now I'm able to get the bottom here. And I'm going to paint my sides up. Make sure you're painting the sides. You can paint the bottom last. Okay, now you are test driving your acrylic paints and your brushes. There's some of you that I know that have painted with me before, and you're all good. Some of you are probably better than me, like Kim Thompson. She's out there painting right now. Her and Rick have painted with me many times, and they've already surpassed me. But they're still watching me because they like my jokes.
Leah's good.
Leah's really good. Leah's amazing. Speaking of my students, I've been seeing a lot of my students post their artwork and they're sending me their artwork. I am so proud of my kids. My students have all done so amazing. Some of them I've been teaching them since middle school. They're graduated from high school now and they're sending me pictures and I'm just blown away. That's the greatest reward as a teacher, is to see your students do things like that. I'm very proud of you guys. You guys know who you are. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to finish that up. When you guys are done with this, just give me a thumbs up in the comments, or just say all done or ready. But get a good layer of paint on this first. Don't overthink this. Every time I do paint parties or paint lessons, the number one thing that stops somebody from creating a good piece isn't that they're not good. It's not their paints, it's not their brushes, it's them. They're overthinking it. The instant they stop overthinking it and have fun, boom, they create one of the coolest pieces. So don't overthink this, just have fun. Okay, Karen's all done. All right. They're coming in. They're saying they're ready. Now, I'm okay with this. I might want to put another layer of paint, but I might just leave it. I'm cool with that. Now, my brush has been sitting out for about 2 minutes. So the best and safest thing to do with your brushes is to start rinsing them out immediately. If you're not going to add another layer of paint, if you're good, the next best thing to do is just to put it in water and rinse it out really good. Now, when you're rinsing your brushes out, be very careful. These are synthetic brushes. They will change shape if you smush them or if you don't paint with the way they're supposed to be painted with. Okay? So when you grab your glass or your cup or whatever, just paint the bottom of your cup very gently and then ream all the water out very gently. And when you dry it, your paintbrushes should be dried flat. Okay, I have paintbrushes that I've had since I was in junior college in 2004, 2005. I still have brushes from when I worked at Disneyland and I was doing things with Disney artists. And they suggested certain brushes to use. So I have brushes that I've had since 1996, 1997. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more paint in certain areas because there's one area that's got some little marks. But this is all dried up, so I'm going to add this here. Whoop, that's a little too much. I'm going to grab some white. Now, I'm painting a certain direction, but if you want, you can turn your brush from painting sideways back and forth to this way, and you can actually paint with your brush flat. And you could put different little areas in here. I probably may not do that. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3. We got 4 painters that are ready to move forward. Now, remember, if you're not happy with this, we can come back to it. We can come back to it. But I want you to keep in mind, don't overthink this because we're going to have a big snowman that's going to take up about, I'd say almost half of this area. And then we're going to have little bits of trees. So don't overthink this. Just let's move forward. Okay, so I'm going to grab my cup and I'm going to rinse it out very gently. This isn't a race. We're just here to have fun and relax, hang out. Okay, now watch this. I'm going to ream that out. Now, you're going to see white. That's fine. That's because that's the color of the water. But I still see some white in the brush right there. So I want to get that out. I'm going to keep rinsing it out. Because if that dries in your brush, it's stuck. It's going to be stuck in there. This acrylic paint will dry and it'll harden very hard. It's plastic. Okay, that's pretty good.
Everyone is starting to say done and thumbs up.
Done. Okay, here we go. Now watch this. I'm going to get my napkin and I'm going to do this back and forth. Let's move to the next color. We're going to move to blue. Now, I want to start at the top and work my way down with what's called a gradient. A gradient is a gradual shift in color that goes from dark to light or light to dark. So I'm going to start very dark with the truest blue that I have first before I water it down with white. But I'm going to start dark and work my way down to a lighter color. So here's my palette. I'm going to grab some straight blue. No white mixed in there. Okay, does everybody see that? And I'm going to start up here and work my way back and forth. Okay, now watch how I do this. Done. Refill. Too many painters I've seen will try to get a little bit of paint and paint this entire area, and they're wondering why it doesn't get filled up. Okay, add more paint. You see those streaks right there? Leave them. This is the awkward stage, remember. You're going to see some streaks in there. There's nothing you can do about it. The more layers of paint, the better. Paint your sides. Paint the top. This is fun. I miss you guys. I miss like doing tutorials for you guys. Okay, look at this. Here's an example. Watch this. This is no bueno. That's no good. See all the streaks right there? That means you need to add more paint. It's okay. It's natural for people to think that, oh, I'm going to run out of paint. No, you won't. You're probably good. This paint right here will probably paint my entire sky. And it was probably a teaspoon's worth of paint. So I'm going to add a little bit more. Paint the sides. Okay, now I want to start mixing in some white because I don't want this dark all the way down. So watch over at my palette over here. I'm going to incorporate a little bit of white. That's about the tone that I want right there. Now I'm going to start right over here. You see how I'm doing this? You could do X's. You go straight across, but as soon as you see that, that means you need more paint. I'm going to keep enforcing that because everybody does that. I'm going to mix in some more white. Ooh, what's this? It's changing colors. That's what I want. Now I'm going to add a little bit more white to that because I want to gradually go lighter. See those color differences? More paint. Now don't rush this. Have fun, relax, chill out. And just check out the cool stuff that acrylic paint does. Paint your sides up. Okay, now I want to go a lot lighter there. Now I don't want the sky to be lighter than the ground. It can't be. So see how, look at the extreme right there. We could still go a little bit lighter and it'll still be good. Yep, see that? Now when you get down here, go really slow. Go right along that little ridge you created. Flip your brush around. And I'm going to add some more paint. I want to get rid of all that white on my canvas. Now the other thing is, once you brush paint over your canvas, leave it alone. Don't paint anymore. If you sit there and beat it up and keep painting it, you're not going to give that acrylic paint any time to dry. And while it's drying, it's like plastic. It's just going to peel off your canvas. I'm going to grab some more paint. Now, when you're painting and all of a sudden your brush is sticky, that means your paint is drying and you should not go over it. That means find a new piece or area to work on. Or just take a little break, get up and do something, walk away for a minute. Paint your sides up. Now this needs to be layered again. This is almost dry. Don't just stick your finger on it. If it looks like it's got a sheen to it, it's still wet. If it has a natural sheen to it, some paints do, use the back of your finger. You don't want a fingerprint on your painting, so use the back of your finger and touch it. Now watch this. It's dry. Now watch this. It's wet. I have paint on there still. Not bad, but that's dry. That's ready to go. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and wipe off. Don't rinse it out. Just wipe off that paint. Grab this all blue with no white in it and start back up here and work your way from the top And that's about all that's for there. And I'm going to add some more paint. Don't try to make a little bit of paint go way too much, go way too far on your piece. Some straight blue. I'm going to continue. It's looking really good. I'm going to show you something here in a second. We have two extremes right next to each other. We have this color that's really dark and that color. I'm going to show you how to get around that in a second. I'm going to teach you how to blend. Okay, but in the meantime, I still want to get the awkward stage off of this right here by brushing more of this blue paint on. Okay, so we have a color that's very dark and then like medium. We don't like that because we could see the extreme right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an in-between of these colors. I'm going to get this dark blue and add a little bit of white to it. I'm going to go right down the line of those two with a big chunk of paint right there. And go right in between the middle. Here's the dark side, here's the light side. Watch this. I'm going to go right in between them both. And it takes that line away. Okay, there's a little bit right there, so what I do is I'm going to gently brush that out. Now, I'm not too concerned about this right here. I have some stuff that is kind of bugging me, but I don't care because we're going to put a snowman right here. The snowman's going to go about right here. Okay, we're going to have a little sun reflection or a moon reflection right here, so I'm not too concerned about that. Some of this stuff that you think bugs you, just leave it alone. We could put a tree right there. We could put other things. But I do want to add one more layer right there to get rid of that. This is almost dry. Okay, so some of you, what I might do is I might give you guys another minute or so to do this. I don't want to move forward yet because we're going to jump into the snowman here next. Okay. So there's where I'm at right now. I'm going to let this dry up a minute. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rinse my brush out because there is paint on it. I want that to dry fully because I do want to add some more paint to that. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. Oh, whatever you do too, don't leave your brushes in there like that. It drives me nuts. Your brushes are nice and straight, and when you put them in a cup, they do this. And they bend. And then when you pull them out, they're crooked, and it's a little bit hard to get them back to their natural shape. So please don't just throw a bunch of your paintbrushes in a cup like that because you'll forget them. That's what people do. You'll wake up the next day and go out there and all your brushes will look like this. They'll be all crooked. Okay. Go to ream that out. Don't leave all that water in there. Wipe out as much as you can. Okay. There's nothing worse than getting a new swatch of paint and then you go to paint and you left a bunch of water in your brush and it all runs down. You don't want to do that. Okay, so how about this? I'm going to give you guys a minute to catch up. When you guys are good, say you're ready to go, or give me a thumbs up.
would love to talk in the mic. I might take over.
So Mrs. Hernandez is here and she wants to say hi to her kids. I said I've been talking this whole time and she's been sitting in the studio with me, in my studio.
They might hear me in the background.
Yeah, but she's going to... So when you guys are finishing this up right here, okay, you guys are going to get a special treat. You get Mrs. H that's going to be sitting here. She's not allowed to touch my painting, though.
Oh, I'm going to put a fingerprint.
Just kidding. Mm-hmm. So she's going to sit down and say hi to all you guys. And if you have any questions, just throw them up there on the chat. Let me know if you have any questions. But this is where we're at right now. Okay, we're about halfway done with this painting. And I'm just here having fun with you guys. I'm just here hanging out. There's no time constraint on this. We don't need this done in like an hour or 2 hours. So just take your time and have fun. Have some treats. This should be an ongoing thing that you guys do with your friends. Hey, we're going to paint. We're going to hang out for a couple of hours. And if we don't finish on time, we can finish another time. But anyways, here's Mrs. Hernandez. She's going to sit in my seat right here and talk to you guys. So
yeah. Hey, guys. Shout out to all my buddies like Mrs. Thompson and Cammie Lindley. I miss you guys. I just want to say hi to my students. Thank you guys for joining us. Annalise, I am so excited that you found another way to complete this art with color pencil. I've done the same thing. Drawing it out is so much fun as well. So you can still do the gradients with the colors. Ooh, I'm very close. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Anyways, I'm kidding. So, but thank you guys for coming. Mr. Chris has a lot of different paintings on there. And like the other ones, this one will actually post to his channel. So if you don't quite finish it tonight, you can clean your brushes and put everything aside and come back to it if you need to. That's the great thing about it. Or bring other family members back later to try it at a later time. Can you use, hang on one second, I'm trying to read the posts.
I got it.
Oh, 3x3 canvas? Why not? I've done the little 5x7 canvases with my class. Actually, every year I paint this same exact painting with my students, and Mr. Chris comes in to help, and I fill paints, and we've done it 5x7 every year, and it hasn't been a problem. And I'm sure if you have a steady hand, you can do it as small as you want to do it.
Is everybody ready now?
Mr. Chris is posing as Amy Hernandez, so viewers beware. Just saying. He's not to be trusted. No, just kidding. So I appreciate all of you guys to come. I know that this holiday season is an exceptionally hard one because we've been asked to be away from our families, but there are so many ways around that like this. And you guys are our art family, and thank you so much for joining us. And I guess I will let Mr. Chris come back and do his job.
All right.
Thank you guys. I'll be in the background. Hackling. Right, Mr. Chris?
Yes. All right. I'm back. That was really nice. And yeah, Mrs. Hernandez pretty much said it. This is a little bit, I'm not going to lie, this is a tough year, guys. And we're just going to make the best of it. So we're going to find things to do. We're going to be creative. And we're going to learn a lot of new things here at home. Okay? So this is a time for you to be with your families. It's a time for you to learn new things and to slow down a little bit, check things out. So let's get back to this. I don't like this right here, but guess what? This is completely dry now. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix that right there. Watch this. I like all these streaks in there. I'm just going to leave them. What the heck. See how I did that? And I didn't even care. There's no pattern right there. It's all broken up. Look at this. See that? I do want to add some more blue paint up here. So I'm going to go back up here with my dark blue paint. And I'm going to go ahead and put some more blue paint. Plenty of blue paint. I want to cover that up real nice. Don't put too much. It'll gob on there and take forever to dry. But I'm cool with this. I like this. I like that. I'm good with that. If you guys are at this point, give me a thumbs up because I want to go ahead and start the next step, which is our really cool moon.
Oh.
You thought I was going to say snowman, huh?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Abby, you could do whatever you want. You could paint a sunset.
Like T.I.
You guys just do whatever you feel like doing. Remember, I'm just a reference, you guys. I'm just a reference for this. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm going to start the moon next is because we're going to have this really cool spiral going around here. And the snowman's going to be layered on top of that. So we have our foreground, our midground, and our background. We just painted our background, okay? We're going to paint our midground. Okay, now what midground is here's going to be our snowman. Here's going to be our sunset right here, or our moon reflection, okay? I'm going to rinse out my brush really, really well, okay? I'm going to go ahead and make the shape of it pretty flat. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of water on that. I don't want a lot of paint on this. Watch what I do here. I'm going to wipe off as much of the paint as possible on my pellet. Don't wipe it off on the napkin. Has everybody done that? Okay, you're going to do this along with me. There's not a lot of paint on this. Okay, are you ready? I'm going to pick a spot right here. I'm going to put a little dot right there just to tell myself, that's where you're going to do that. Okay, now watch what I do. I'm going to get my brush. I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to twirl the brush with my fingers. Just like that. I hope you can't see that. Okay, do you see that mark that I just made? My lighting's a little bit weird. Then what you're going to do is you're going to make... You guys ever watch The Twilight Zone? That that thing that spins around, okay? That spiral. I'm going to do that right here. See this that I made right there? And now I'm going to change my brush direction and I'm going to go from this way to flat. This is the fun part where you guys could do something cool. I'm just going to keep going around. And then I'm going to grab a little bit more paint. And I'm going to keep going in a circle all the way out to about right there. Now, it should get lighter. It shouldn't be super light right here and then super light out there. It should be lighter and then it should be fading out. Okay, now make sure you add water to your brush to get this effect. I'm going to add a little bit more right over here.
Are you doing white, Chris?
I'm using a little bit of white. You guys can see my palette right here. I'm using a little bit of white. So Liliana, just use a little bit of white and a little bit of that blue color right here. See this color I got right here? Here's white. Here's the color I want to use. You don't want to use white, pure white. Don't use pure white. And barely touch that brush on the canvas, like you're barely brushing. Barely gently brushing. You want to put very little pressure on that brush. And I'm happy with that. So very little pressure on the brush.
Right, Mr. Chris?
Yeah, use any color. You can use whatever colors you want. In fact, it'd be kind of cool to see some different colors. Just because I'm using these colors doesn't mean you have to do that.
Well, I've had students in the past that chose purple instead of blue, which was really nice. The colors.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Okay, this is yellow. We're going to use a little bit of yellow. If you look at my plate right over here, I'm going to use a little tiny bit of yellow, just a drop. I'm not going to use a lot. That's about all the yellow I'm going to have on my plate for this part. Now, with the brush, don't rinse it out. Just add a little bit of water to it. Actually, no, let's rinse it out. We don't want our reflection to turn green. Blue and yellow make green, so I'm going to rinse my brush out really good. Good thing I caught that. Did you guys know that? Blue and yellow make green. I'm going to wipe my brush off real good. I'm going to grab some yellow. A little tiny bit of yellow. I don't want a lot. I actually want the brush to be pretty saturated, not super watery. Okay. Watch what I do here next. I'm going to go right to the center of this. Very gently. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow onto that. Just a little bit. You want to put a little bit of yellow right there. A little bit of yellow right here. Right here. And you want to stop right there. You don't want the yellow to go all the way out there. You want to give it the illusion that the yellow is going from bright to dark. You know, I might add a little bit of white. There we go. Add a little bit of white to that. Right there, right there. Don't overdo this. It looks kind of cool, but don't overdo it. It's something you could definitely overdo. Don't worry about this right here. This is where we're going to put the snowman too. So I'm cool with that. I like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out really good. I do not want any yellow in my brush for the next step we're going to do. Rinse it out real good. Try it up real nice.
Oh yay, another one of my students is joining you.
Cool.
And you have heard of this one. His name is Isai.
Yes, I heard of him.
He's famous.
Mo likes him. Mo loves him.
Or infamous, right? Is that the right word?
Yes, it is. Okay. Do you want to build a snowman? Is that how the song goes?
Something like that.
I had to do that. Are you guys ready to make a snowman? Ugh.
That was bad singing.
God, I hate that.
You can do it better.
I'm sorry. I really don't like that cartoon. Sorry. I love Disney. I don't like Frozen. Sorry. I love Idina Menzel. She's fantastic. Okay, so my brush is rinsed out really well. There's a flat edge to that. See that? See how nice and flat that is? Okay, the next thing I'm going to do. Are you guys ready? Let me make sure. Because this is going to be a cool part. If you're ready, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up or just say I'm ready.
Isai wants to build a snowman, but he says there's no snow, Mr. Chris. What are we going to do?
I don't know. I mean, we're in the desert.
There rarely is snow.
You can't complain. Just
we have to pretend. We have to use our imaginations, right? Bunch of people are ready.
Okay.
Aaron is ready. Kim is ready. Isai is ready.
Isai, you're not ready. You're that kid in the class that just keeps raising his hand because you don't want everyone to say that you're behind, huh? That was me in school. That was totally me in school. And I still graduated high school, so there's hope for you, buddy. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go to my white. Now, we're going to be drawing something. I'm going to teach you guys how to paint a circle. Don't get scared. If you like sign off right now, I'm going to know you signed off because you were scared to do this. And I'm going to call you out. So, here's white on my brush.
Mr.
Nice
Chris,
and flat.
you're very close to the yellow. Do not put yellow in your snow.
Who said that?
Don't eat the yellows. No one did.
Shh. Okay, so here we go. So watch this. I got white paint on here. I'm going to put my snowman somewhere right here. But here's what I'm going to do. I don't want him right at the halfway mark. Here's my halfway mark of something I created. I don't want the snowman here. I want him a little bit lower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint right here. I'm going to paint a line that goes down. We're going to be painting a T right there and right here. Can you guys see that okay? If you can't see that okay, watch this. I'm just going to do this for you guys. Don't paint this too dark. Paint a perfect T, just like that. Okay. Now, don't let that dry up too quick, but I'm going to grab some white now and watch how I do this. I'm going to make a pizza. I'm just going to make a perfect circle with this by connecting all these. If you've made a perfectly proportioned T, you'll be able to make the circle around it. Use that as a guide. And I'm going to add a little tiny bit of blue into that. Not too much, just a little bit. And I'm just going to fill this in. Now I'm doing what's called directional painting. You want this to be in a circular direction. You do not want to paint straight up and down. We want to give the viewer the illusion that they're looking at a sphere, the snowman. Okay, add more white.
That's nice.
Okay, now, if you notice, I left the right side of my piece a little bit darker. I'm going to mix in a little bit of blue. Now, this paint is still a little bit wet. Watch this. I'm going to go from 12 o'clock down to 6 o'clock. Okay, watch this. And then I'm going to blend it back and forth very gently. Do you see that? That's how you blend. You're going to go over it. Once you go down and put all that paint in, you're going to go back very gently. Okay, don't push on the brush really hard. Okay, now I'm going to let this dry a minute. The next thing I'm going to do is whatever we did here, we're going to do up here. So watch this. I'm going to add a little bit of water to my brush. I'm going to make the same shape right here, but it's not going to be as big as that. It's going to be like this. It's going to actually go down to right there.
Mr. Chris, do you have any advice for people who have trouble with circles?
Okay, are you ready? When I was in animation school, the best way to make circles, my animation teacher, my professor, worked for Disney, or he still does, Brian Kennan. He taught me how to draw circles really well. So when you try to draw a circle, watch my hand. If you do it with just your wrist naturally goes from here to there and it stops. Can't go any further. Okay? If you want to paint or draw circles, Use your whole arm. Okay? Keep your wrist locked and move your shoulder. And if you look, almost like you're cleaning a window or a computer screen or TV screen, if you keep your hand locked, you can actually move in a perfect circle. Okay, now apply that with a paintbrush or a pencil. Okay, and you have to practice it. Practice makes perfect. You can't just pick that up and say, oh, he told me to do it this way. This is going to work for me exactly like this. No, you got to practice it. It took me a long time too. Okay, so with painting though, this is the best way that I could teach you guys how to paint these circles. Paint a little cross like that. And then connect from here to here. And there to there. There to there. Remember, this is a snowman too. You don't want perfect circles. Who builds snowmen? Adults? No. Adults don't build snowmen. They're too worried about going outside and getting sick. The kids are building snowmans. You think kids are worried about making the perfect snowman? No, the kids are worried about if they have enough snow to make the snowman. Even if it's a little bit loppy or whatever, they still build it. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. Now, watch how I'm filling this in too. I'm not using brush strokes going up and down. I'm actually painting in the direction of the circle. Okay, so there's my second circle. It's got to dry. So what I'd like to do is go back to that little bit of blue that I had. And I'm going to go from 12 o'clock down to 6 o'clock. Here, down to right there. I'm going to add some more blue because I'm almost out. Are you guys getting that? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. While we're talking and doing this, we didn't realize this is drying up, but I'm going to leave that a little bit longer. I'm going to let that sit a little bit longer. I'm going to grab some more white, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to make the head of the snowman. Now, it's got to be a lot smaller, so I'm going to make a smaller T, just like this, and like that. Okay, it should go down a little bit further because it's got to overlap a little bit on that. And all you're doing is making a pizza out of this. You're going to go from, I'm left-handed, so I'm going to go from 12 o'clock down to 9, from 9 o'clock down to 6, from 12 o'clock to 3, from 3 down to 6. And once that's done, I'm going to fill him in. Now, you notice I'm pushing all the way down on the brush. It goes from this to this. If you push on the brush, it opens up the belly of the brush and all that paint will come out. Also, look how I'm using the brush. I'm actually twirling the brush with my fingers instead of brushing like I'm Vincent van Gogh. You don't need to do that. Just grab your brush, push it down, and watch this. I'm actually twirling the brush. And look at the shape that it makes. There's a little bit of a space right there I don't like, but I'm going to put a scarf on him right there, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to grab a little bit of blue, since it's still wet. And I'm going to go from the 12 o'clock down to 6 o'clock, just like this. Ready? $12 down to 6 o'clock. And then I'm going to go back and blend it up a little bit. Now I might go back and do this. From 12 o'clock down to 6 o'clock. This is the shadow that I want to add. And then over here, I'm going to go from this position again. And now watch this. I'm going to go back, but I'm going to put my brush over and I'm going to brush gently back and forth to blend it a little bit. Okay. Now I want to add some more white paint right here. So I got a lot of blue on my brush. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. Belinda, you love to draw. That's awesome. I love to draw too. Drawing relaxes me.
I think Liliana Silva is very happy with her painting because she just did dab.
Yeah.
It's gotta mean goodness.
Isai says, I do not like to draw or to paint. I know, I am weird. No, you're not weird.
I mean,
Can I tell you guys, like, I know a lot of artists, but most of my friends that I hang out with, like the actual friends I hang out with, are not artistic. They don't draw or paint at all. So when I'm playing a game with my friends and we're sitting down and I'm doodling, they always look at my drawings and say, how could you do that? I can't even draw a stick man. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, is everybody good with that? Hey, Ethan Van Heel is on.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, buddy?
He loves painting along with you, Mr. Chris.
That's good. I remember him in, was it Mrs. Boatwright's class?
No.
Whose class was that?
The year before, Miss Cernas.
Mrs. Cerna, that's right. God, I miss all these kids. But it's good to see everybody here following along. Okay, this is all dry. I'm going to start adding more white in. Now, I don't want to add like pure white. I'm going to put a little bit of water here. I'm going to mix in, you see how there's a little bit of blue in there? It's a little bit dirty with that blue. I'm going to get a good amount of blue on, or white on here with a little bit of that blue, just like this. And I'm going to go back here and I'm going to add some of this white. And I'm going to paint in this direction. Now look at this. I'm going to go over this very carefully. Right there. I started lifting the brush up to give that painterly look. I got some more paint here. I'm going to go back here now. I'm going to go. Don't rush this. Okay. Now let's go back up here. I'm going to add some more paint. I like that. That's good. Okay, we're going to let that dry. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it at the end because I want the reflection of this moon right here, this moon glow, to go right on the edge right there. But I'm going to let that dry. I don't want to add anything to that right now. Okay. Next step of this snowman. I'm going to rinse my brush out really, really good. Dry this off right here. Is everybody at this point right here? Isai says, I want the PS5, but I can never get it. Really? Take a number, dude. I don't play the PS5. I might one day. Do you guys really want to know what Mr. Chris does? He doesn't play the PS5. These are things that he plays. Look at that. This is called the cartridge life. That's what I do. I don't play PS5. I probably We'll try it one day, but I don't. Right, Metroid, Iron Tank, 1942, Super Mario Brothers.
NES, huh?
You guys are missing out on the cartridge life. Super Nintendo, Mortal Kombat, Star Fox, Street Fighter, Mario Kart. Oh, you guys are missing out.
I'm more of a Tetris type of person.
Tetris 2. Right? Okay, if you guys are here, give me a thumbs up. Let me know so we can move forward.
That's an awesome idea. Give the painting away.
That's really cool. I was going to tell you guys, if you celebrate, and this is what you do, like you give Christmas gifts or gifts to people, this would make an excellent holiday Christmas gift for a grandparent, your mom or dad, brother or sister, someone who's your friend. I think that's really cool. It's really neat. Those are the best gifts to give when they're from your heart and they're from your brain and your hands. Those are cool. Anybody could walk in and get a gift card for someone, but not everybody gets a really cool handcrafted gift like this. Okay, so that's there. I think we're going to move to the next color. Are you guys ready for this? We are going to paint the hat and the arms and the eyes on the snowman. We're going to be bringing out this black color right now. Got some black paint. I'm going to find a clean spot on my palette here. That's about all the black paint I'm probably going to use. If you guys can see that, it's literally like a half a teaspoon's worth. Don't waste your paints too. If you guys don't like to get out, it's hard for you to get out. Try not to use a lot of your paints. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my round brush. This brush did its job. It did about, I don't know, 90% of the work here. Let's switch to our round brush. Okay, you guys ready? Clean your brushes out. Uh-oh, who spilled the water? One of you guys, I know it, spilled water. You dropped your cup. Who did it? Uh-huh. You're laughing and you're saying, yeah, I know, I did it.
Or you drank the water.
Don't drink the water.
Liliana said that you should make a gaming video, Mr. Chris. Oh, Liliana also spilled the water.
She did it.
It was her. We knew it. Oh, wait. Rich did it too.
Oh.
Not.
Hey, don't feel bad. I do paint parties with adults, and there's always 2 or 3 people who spill their water. It's okay. It's fine.
Mr. Chris, Liliana must be an older adult because she just used the word not.
Not.
And the kids today don't say that.
No, they don't.
So she must be our age.
Here's my round brush. Are you guys ready? We're going to do this step by step. Okay? I got my round brush. I'm going to put some water in it. A little bit of water. I'm going to dry the water out because I don't want this leaking all over my painting. Now, if you notice, my round brushes have a nice point like a pen or a pencil. Do you see that? The way you palette your brush has a lot to do with the shape it's going to make. So if you just smush it around, it's going to make a certain shape. If you do this, and you roll your brush around between your fingers and you lift it up, you'll have a nice point on it. And you could draw or paint with this. Are you ready? We're going to start with his top hat. Sorry about that. We're going to start with his top hat. Are you ready? Okay, so we're going to make it look like he has little horns coming out, or antlers. We're going to start right here. We're going to put a line going outward right there. and a line outward going right there. Everybody do that. These two lines right there. Do you see them right there and right there? They should be the same size because we're going to, the next thing we're going to do is make a curved line that goes across. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go from here to here. I have a starting point and a stopping point every time I paint. I never like to just start painting saying, oh, I'm a painter, I'm going to paint this and that. The universe is on my side today. No, I have techniques and different things that I do. So I have a starting point and a stopping point, vice versa. I'm going to go from here to right here. So I'm going to make a curved line, the same curve that goes right here on the head. I'm going to make that same shape that goes from here, but it's going to be right here, just like that. Do you see that? I'm just going to paint right here so you can see it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the shape. Don't paint a straight line. Please do not do that. We're going to paint a line that goes from here to there, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill this shape in right here very carefully. So remember, whatever the shape of your circle is, make that same shape with your hat. Okay. Now, my snowman that I have on the flyer is a lot smaller, but it's okay. This one's going to be a little bit bigger. Now, the next step, do you guys have this? You want me to slow down a minute? You guys good? You got this?
I think you're going at a good pace.
Okay. The next step, here, let me move this closer. I'm going to go right over here. Okay, watch this. See the shape of this circle? Where the circle meets the hat right here, this little corner right there. I'm actually going to make a line that goes up like that. Does that make sense? So you follow the circle with your brush, don't paint it, and there's your point right there. You're going to go from here to there. I don't know if you guys could see this. I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm going to grab a white Stabilo pencil. Do you see that? No, still don't see it? See that line right there? So you're going to go up to this point right here. And you're going to curve this direction. So if you notice, there's a space right here. And there's the same space. You make sure the space matches on the other side. And I'm going to get my black paint. Don't fill that in right away. Wait for me. Watch this. I'm going to paint this above right here. It's going to go from here to here. And then I'm going to paint, and I'm going to leave a little space right there. Watch this. Leave that space right here, because that's going to be red. That's going to be where the band goes on the top hat. But I'm going to go ahead and very carefully fill this in with black paint. Just like that. And you notice I left this space unpainted right here. We're going to go back to that in a minute, but this paint has to dry. You do not want to paint that right now, because if you accidentally touch red on that black, it'll become like a burgundy color. We don't want that. Okay, so our hat is drying. The next thing that I'll want to do is I'm going to grab this brush. I do not want to paint the arms with this brush, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to rinse this brush out. We don't need this round brush for this next step. Get all that paint out. Okay, are you ready? I'm going to teach you how to paint straight lines with a flat brush. You're going to want to make sure this is rinsed out really good and that it's got a nice flat edge on it. The next thing I'm going to do is very carefully put a little bit of black paint. You guys see my palette over here. Just on the tip of the brush. You don't want a lot of black paint on this. Just a little bit. You see that? Just a little bit. I'm going to start from here and work my way down. Okay, here's where I want his arm to be at. So I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to make a line that goes from here, and watch this, straight and barely pushing on the canvas. You see this line that I just made? Sergio, I know that that's what Mrs. Cruz said, but I agree, because you ain't getting one, man. You're not getting a PS5 unless you want to pay $1,200 for that. Wait till after Christmas. The PS5 is the Tickle Me Elmo. Anyone that's my age will know what that means. So I made a line here. Now I want to go across right here and put a little dot right there. That's where I want my other arm to come out. I don't want an arm up here and an arm way down here. Okay. Now I want it to go from here. Now watch this. Instead of painting flat, I'm going to paint with the brush this way, straight. I'm going to go from here to about right there. Make sure these are about the same size. Remember, these aren't actual arms. They're tree limbs that some child picked up off the ground. So don't stress if they're not like, oh, mine is not straight. It's okay. It's a tree branch. They're not actual real arms. I'm going to paint little fingers on them with the same shape of the brush that I'm using. I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to put one right here. That's it. Then I'm going to go to this side. Haven't even put new paint on. I'm going to put a branch right here for a finger. Another one right there. All right. Super easy, I promise. Remember, if it's tough, it's because you're overthinking it, I promise. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. I still have black on my palette. I'm going to save it for just a second. I think what I want to do first, though, before I jump back into that, is I'm going to bring out orange. Let's paint the carrot on his nose. Find a spot anywhere that doesn't have black paint. Remember, this is probably all dried up. Acrylic paint dries up pretty quick, so you just need a little bit of orange. You don't need a lot. I'm going to go back to my round brush. I'm going to grab some orange. I'm actually going to add a little bit of white. If you can find white on your palette, grab it. A little bit of white. Now watch this. I'm going to roll my brush between my fingers. And I want a tip on there because I'm going to be drawing this. I'm going to draw or paint a long triangle. It's going to start somewhere right here. Do you see that? And it's going to end right over in the middle of the snowman's face, which is right here. Starting point, stopping point. Now, don't just paint a straight line. A carrot is going to have some little bumps on it, so I'm going to paint a line that goes like this. And then the bottom is going to go like this. It's going to start out thick or thin and then go thin, thick. Start out thin, go thick. Okay, there's my carrot. Now I'm going to let that dry because it needs to be layered again. So let that dry up a minute. While that's drying, I'm going to rinse my brush out. We have to let that dry. Don't move ahead of yourself and try to keep gooping paint on it. Just leave it alone. Sorry. Let's paint his scarf. And we're going to paint the band on his hat. I'm going to grab some red paint, find a spot on my palette. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of white to my red. Okay. This is what you don't want. You don't want your paintbrush to look like this. There's no shape to that. It's like you're painting with a goob of something. Okay, so you want to palette your brush and twirl it between your fingers so you have a nice point on it. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with this scarf and move up. So I'm going to start right here where his neck is at. I'm going to put it about right there, push down on your brush, and just go right across. Don't try to be perfect. Just have fun and be good with it. Now, don't have perfect squares. You want them rounded on the edges. Now watch how I do this. Are you guys ready? I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to paint down and push down on the brush really good. And then as I get towards the bottom, I'm going to pull my brush up and make a shape like that. So push down on the brush, and as you push down, get thicker and thicker, and then start to pull up on the brush more, and then pull it up. And that's how you get that shape right there. I'll do it one more time. The next one's going to be smaller, so watch this. I'm going to push down, twirl the brush, and as you pull up gently, watch this. Bloop. Brush pressure. That's something that you need to keep in mind when you're painting. Brush pressure. Now I have some brush marks right there. I'm going to brush them back out. Ethan said that is a good looking nose. Thank you. That's because I'm half Italian. We have great noses. Do you guys know I'm half Italian? I'm half Italian. Italians have great noses. Thank you, Ethan Van Heel. Okay, now with that same paint, I'm going to let that dry up a little bit. With that same paint mixture, I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to paint the band of the hat. Don't paint it straight. It's got to be painted in a arch. Just like that. Guys, see that okay? I'm really happy with that scarf. That came out nice. Remember, if you want to paint that scarf again, I'll do it one more time. Get a good amount of paint on there.
Ethan said the nose on the snowman, silly. Not your nose.
Oh, it doesn't matter. My nose is great.
It's a fine nose. I'll give you that. But he meant the snowman.
My nose isn't bad. I've been on TV before. A few times. I was on Baywatch. They liked my nose. They said, we don't care about your body, we just like your nose. We can put you on Baywatch. We're going to have you run down the beach next to David Hasselhoff in slow motion. And you're going to be all good. Okay, here we go. Watch this. For the scarf again, you start out small. You push down on the brush to where it opens up like this. And then as you get towards the end, you pull up on the brush so it does this. And then you pull up. Okay. Are you guys having fun? This is cool, isn't it?
I like it.
Whoops. Sorry guys, keep bumping my camera. I'm just trying to show you a better... My lighting is a little bit weird in here. So how's that?
Fun. Yep.
Okay. Now, the way that I'm teaching you guys how to paint this, I'm going to let you know right now, this is a secret. The way that I'm teaching you with layering and putting in your foreground, midground, your background, that's how you paint everything. So if you ever see a painting later on online and say, ooh, I like that painting, break it down. There's different layers in your painting. There's a foreground, midground, and the background. Always. Okay? And you can paint anything like that. I'm going to go back to his nose. It needs to be layered one more time. So let's go back here. It's pretty dry. I'm going to go back to my orange. Add a little bit of white to that. Now, what I like to do when I paint, I'm left-handed. If you're right-handed, you could do the same thing, but I like to put my pinky down sometimes. Okay? So if you're right-handed, you put your pinky down, and you could go across this direction to paint. That way, you never put your wrist down. If you put your wrist down, you could be touching wet paint. But since I'm left-handed, I'm going to put my pinky down just like this. Try to get in the habit of that. If you guys like painting, I promise you it'll be the best thing ever. And that's good. I'm going to leave that. That's layered pretty good. I like that. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush out. Let's put some eyeballs on him. Are you ready? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Abby, you've been on the news? Hopefully you weren't on the news with a bunch of blue and red lights after you. I was on the news too. That's it.
That's it.
I am left-handed. Yes, I'm left-handed. When I paint though, I could paint with my right hand if my hand's a little sore. Mr. Chris, Mr. Hernandez, he likes to work on his truck and he likes to put in exploding, he likes to replace exploding hot water heaters and fences and different things like that. So sometimes my left hand gets a little sore and I just switch to my left hand if I'm too sore, and I could paint with my left hand as well. But yes, I'm left-handed. Okay, are you ready? We're going to get our round brush. Are you ready for this next part? We're going to use not the bristle, we're going to use this part of the brush. You're going to grab this part of your brush here, and you're going to dip it slightly into the black paint, just like this. Are you ready? I'm going to put down a dot for his eye right here. And I'm going to add some more paint. Actually, I'm going to straighten his eye out a little bit. And I'm going to put his other eye right here. Remember, his face is tilted slightly, so you want this to be bigger than that eye right there. This is also an illusion. This is called a 3/4 angle, where his head is not looking straight at you, it's tilted slightly. Anytime your head is tilted slightly, this eye is always going to be bigger than that right there. Now I'm going to add some more paint. Let's make his smile. Are you ready? These are the coals that you picked up and put on the ground, or from the ground, to make his smile. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get some more. 5, 6. There's his smile. I'm going to get some more paint. Let's add the coals on his belly. Now, don't put them straight. Put them in a slight curve like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like that. That's done. I'm going to wipe this off. We are almost done. The next thing that I want to do, I'm going to get my round brush for reals this time. We're going to use the point of it, not just the back of it. I'm going to go to my blue paint. But I'm going to add some white to it. Make a good amount because we're going to make Christmas trees. I'm going to start right over here. I'm going to make a tiny triangle right out here. Don't make it too big. This is called perspective. We want small trees in the back to make it look like you could actually walk back there. There's a triangle right there. Make it smaller. And then I'm going to make a tree right here. Bigger than this one. Not humongous. Please don't make a humongous tree. And then I'm going to make one right here closer to the snowman. Yeah, what the heck, I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now, if you guys want, you can make them triangles or you can put little branches on them. Branches start out smaller and they get a little bit bigger. And at the base, they should be bigger. And I want two more. I want another one right over here. And I want one more right here. It's got to be bigger though. I want branches on these guys too. Now, I'm going to put a reflection in here. I'm done with that. I'm not going to layer that. I'm going to rinse my brush out. Now, be careful when you do this. Watch how I do this. The moon is coming this way, so you only want the highlights on the left side. You want to keep it dark on the right side because you want to give it the illusion that the light is falling onto all these directions this way. So I'm going to grab some white paint and just put a little bit on the edges right here. Just a little bit, only on the left side. Does that make sense? Wouldn't make sense to have light on this direction when there's no light coming from this direction. So that's why we want to do that. I'm going to rinse my brush out. We're almost done. Okay, I'm going to grab some of this blue paint Not really, really dark. I just want it slightly dark. Slightly darker than this. I'm going to get my round brush. And I'm going to put a little shadow right underneath here. And I'm going to put a shadow right here underneath this tree, this tree, this tree, this tree, and that tree. Light's coming down, hits this right here, puts a shadow right underneath these trees right here. I'm going to rinse my brush out. We're going to go back to that yellow. I don't want a ton of yellow. I'm just going to grab a little bit of yellow with water on my brush. A little tiny bit of yellow. See how I'm doing this? Go back and forth with your brush the way I'm doing this. Watch this. I'm going to go from here to here very carefully, very gently. I don't want too much of that yellow on there. I want a yellow right there. Yellow right here. A little bit of yellow. Oh! There was some wet paint there still. If that happens, rinse your brush out. See how I clean that off real good? Just relax. When that stuff happens, just relax. And just so you guys know, I totally did that on purpose, so I can show you what to do in case you have an accident. No, I didn't. I really messed up. Let that dry up. Just leave it alone a minute. Go back to this yellow right here. Still moving forward with the plan. I'm going to clean that up in just a second. The best way to fix something like that is let it dry up. Here, I'll show you guys. See that boo-boo I made? Let it dry up. Blow on it, wave your canvas around, hit it with the hair dryer. Don't worry, that's not the end of the world. That's the least of my troubles. Okay, I'm going to go get some white again. Now, if it's dry, then paint over it. If it's still wet, don't attempt to paint over it because all you'll do is make a big mess. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry up. I'm glad this happened. I'm going to let that dry up. I got some white on my brush. Instead of painting that and fixing it, let's go to this carrot right here on the nose. I'm going to paint a curve right there, and right there. Okay. I'm going to wipe my brush off. If you have some black paint, grab a little bit of black paint. Go right in front of that white line right there. So the white line right here is on the left side. You're going to want to go on the right side of it and put a little line right there. Right there, right there. We should have 3 black lines right there. And I might put a little underline right there. And I'm going to rinse my brush out. That's still drying. I haven't forgot about it. I'm going to leave it. While that's drying, I don't want to paint it just yet. It's still too early. I'm going to grab my brush. Remember the dots we made for the snowman, for his eyes and his smile? We're going to do that with the white. So you're going to grab this part of your brush. You're going to go over here. And you're going to put snowflakes. Do about 3 and then get another load of paint. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You could add as many as you want. I'm just going to keep going. All right, that's probably good. I'm going to wipe this off. Now that's dry. I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back and grab some white. Watch this. I made a little mistake. I'm going to go back to that. Gone. Very carefully. Look at that. It's all gone.
That's cool.
I fixed it. Just because I was patient and I let it dry up. That is the end of our painting. Oh, no, it's not. You have to sign your piece. I'll sign my piece. Let's do red. Now when you sign, you roll your brush around and pull it upward till you get a nice point just like this. So you're able to sign.
Liliana wants to know if you can do it with Sharpie.
No, please do not do it with Sharpie. Here's why. If you do it with Sharpie, as soon as any moisture hits your canvas, that Sharpie will smudge and run real bad. So try to do it with paint. Even if you just have to put your initials. Just put your initials, but please do not use Sharpie. Sharpie, as soon as any moisture hits your room or anything, that Sharpie will smudge really bad. It will never dry. If you want, you could sign your name and then you could actually paint over it. But I would never just do Sharpie. All right. That is it. I signed my piece. Here's my piece. Now, I'm going to leave this up for you guys. Just so you know, I'm actually building not a life-size, but a scaled-size Death Star in my backyard. Kind of need some help with that. I already went to my bank and they said no, they wouldn't fund my Death Star build in the backyard. So I decided to do paint nights, and hopefully some of my friends would be gracious enough to throw me a tip or two. Tips are social distance hugs, that's what I say. So they're not required, but they are appreciated. If not, hey, you guys had a fun free paint night? I just wanted to hang out with you guys tonight, honestly. I had a lot of fun with you guys. Did you guys have fun? Yes? Awesome. So here's my piece, you guys. I had a lot of fun with you guys. That's my signature. I want you guys to find things to do. Do your homework. Stay off your devices. Go out and do things. Go look at trees. Go look at the clouds. Go look at the sky and say, I want to draw that, or I want to paint that, or write a story. Do something fun. Okay? Just please, please, please don't sit in your rooms all day on your devices. Get out and do stuff. Just because you're quarantined, there's no excuse. You could go in your backyard. You could find things to do in the house. Play a board game. Learn how to play Go Fish. Learn how to play something. Just do something cool. Okay, get out and do stuff. It's very healthy for you. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys did that. Okay, thank you very much, you guys. I had a lot of fun with you. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. Please, if you haven't, subscribe to my channel, HernandezDesigns. If this is the first time you're painting with me, you got a few paintings to catch up on. We'll do another one soon, okay, you guys? I promise. Sorry for the long delay, but we will be doing another painting soon. Okay, I already got some cool ideas. But if you guys had fun, let me know you had fun. Also on Instagram, go and subscribe to or follow us on Instagram at ZP Publishing. We are in the works for our third book, Jack and the Alien Attack. So go follow us there. We got some big news coming up for that. So if you guys can hang in there for a few more months, I don't want to spoil it right now, but we have some really cool things happening with Jack and the Zombie Attack. So, all right, you guys, you have a safe week. Stay home. Take vitamins. Eat good foods. Get out and get some sunlight. Don't sit around your rooms all day. And I want you guys to have a good rest of your week, okay, you guys? And stay tuned, and I'll be posting another paint night very soon. All right, you guys, love you all. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
That was awesome. And it was fairly quick. You did good.